Amanda up. She's the one who got you all talking this morning.
Ambitious Amanda.
And honestly, if it wasn't for Amanda, there were a few moments where she walked me off a ledge. She actually met me here a few times, and she helped me get this organized too. So thank you very much, Amanda.
You are welcome. Who doesn't want to help Cheryl, right? Let's give Cheryl a round of applause. Okay, thank you guys so much. Now I hope you weren't scared by the thought that this was going to be interactive. I mean, there's 3 seats in the front row that are empty, and that is a shame. But here are the handouts. I'm going to put them right here in case anybody needs one. So my name is Amanda. I'm a cognitive psychologist. I'm a professor, and I'm also a coach. So I want you to take just a hot second and imagine this with me. What if you did exactly what you said you would do every single day? Woo! Right? You wrote the blog post when you said you would write the blog posts. You would reach out to people so they will come to your workshop exactly when you said you would do it. You invoice your clients. You update your website. Anything you said you were going to do, you do it at the exact moment you said that you would. Wouldn't that be amazing? Yes. And I'm not even talking about a single additional skill. You don't need to know anybody else. You don't need to know how to do anything else. If you, just as you are, were unleashed on your business, I am 100% sure that you would blow past your income goals. You would be turning clients away that don't excite you. You would have all the success that you want to have. But that might not sound too familiar to you. Perhaps this sounds a little more familiar. I have a client. Her name is Alyssa. She's an amazing therapist. She's so good. If you work with Alyssa, you will feel better quick. She does great workshops. And she had this list of 100 people, but nobody comes to her workshops. That's the problem. But she had this list of 100 people that she had met at like networking events like these. So I said, Alyssa, reach out to those 100 people, go back to their website, remember who they are, say something specific to them, and invite them to your workshop. Let's see who we can get that way. So the whole week went, she said, yes, I will do it. I will reach out to those 100 people. It's the end of the week. How many do you think she reached out to? None. She had reached out to none of them. Now, I'm a cognitive psychologist, and I spent about 6 years, I've spent the last 6 years trying to figure out why are we not doing what we say we want to do? Why are we procrastinating? Why do we get overwhelmed like that? I mean, she wanted to invite people to that workshop. She intended to invite people to the workshop. She told me, she pays me a lot of money to tell me that she's going to invite people to her workshop. Why is she not inviting people to her workshop? Well, yes, fear of rejection, yes. What I've discovered over my 6 years of study is that there are 3 reasons why people do not do what they say they are going to do. 1, they think that they can't do it. Somewhere deep in their heart, they believe that this takes a certain amount of talent or a specific kind of genetics. Some people have it, and they do not have it. So deep in their heart, they just don't believe that they can. The second of the mindset blocks that keep people locked in cycles of defensive failure, which we'll talk about in a minute, is that they believe that people like them don't do things like this. So they have some belief about themselves. I'm a heart-centered person, and heart-centered people don't sell. I'm a professor. Professors don't have businesses. They believe that people like them don't do things like this. That's the second. And the third of the reasons is that they do not want to. They are not into it. They're not interested. They're not curious. They have no love for whatever it is they're doing. Now, like I said, I've been doing this for 6 years. And I started out doing it with students, teachers in schools for students who are at risk of dropping out. So I was helping those teachers to re-engage those students. And these are the same reasons why they're disengaged with school. But it was all very academic to me until I woke up one day with an infant and a toddler and a back that hurt all the time. And I knew I needed to get stronger. I knew I needed to be more flexible. But the only way to be stronger and more flexible is exercise. And I do not exercise. I don't think that I can. I assume that there's like some kind of like athletic magic fairy person that makes people run fast and lift heavy things, right? I am very deeply so committed to being non-competitive. Non-competitive people do not exercise. People like me, they don't do it. And also, frankly, just between you and me, I don't want to. Like at all. I don't want to be sweaty. I don't want to be in that room with all the mirrors. I don't want any of it. And those are the three, right? I don't think I can. People like me don't do things like this. And I don't want to. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to have to fix myself here. And in realizing that I was blocked in those three ways, and then moving into action, over the course of 3 years, I did teach myself how to run. And then I taught myself how to bike. That was a lot of fun. There's a lot of spandex and biking. And then I taught myself how to swim, and that really was fun. And one August day, about 2 years ago, I strung all three of them together, and I did a triathlon.
Wow.
I know! Woo! I was surprised too! And this is what I want you to hear. Like, yes, it's a story of personal transformation, and I'm proud of it. Because it should never have been my story, right? That was not who I was. But the best thing about it was that it opened up to me a truth that I can do whatever I want. If I get my head clear and I begin to take steps. So I got my family out of debt. We just recently bought a house. I started actually publishing my writing. I might have a book deal, which is very exciting. And most important to this talk here, I started a business. And people are like, but you were just talking about exercise and budgets and writing your stuff. But the thing about business is the fastest way to grow your business is to grow yourself. So I want to talk about each of these mindsets in the context of business. And everybody has a handout, right? Let me have a handout. Can you hand me one? Thank you. Now you're good. So, open it up, and you'll see there's a page that has a lot of colors on it. I don't want you to sit there and say, this is all interesting, I'm learning things. I want you to set some intentions. So I want you to bring to mind, first and foremost, what you are struggling to get done in your business. Okay? Bring that to mind, make a little note. Because when you're struggling, you're failing. And failure is not a bad word. Failure is one of my favorite words. But there's actually two kinds of failure. There's the kind that we must celebrate, productive failure, where you do it and you do it so badly that you are embarrassed. And you're sure everyone can see you doing it as badly as possible. But that's, it's okay. You do it next time and it's a little bit better. And then a little bit better. And I'm here to tell you, it won't be long before people are asking you for advice. But that's not the only kind of failure. There's another kind. There's defensive failure. And defensive failure is where you are doing nothing. You say you're going to invite people to your event, you don't invite anybody to your event. You say that you're going to post on social media, you don't do it. You say you're going to do a Facebook Live, and you just pretend that never happened. Right? Now, this is defensive failure, and this is what we have to break free of if we're going to be unleashed on our business. So, remember, the three blocks that are keeping us stuck in these cycles where we do nothing. We say we are going to do something, and we do nothing. The first, I don't believe I can. Now, our school system is designed to give everybody the idea that there's a right answer and a wrong answer. We were all socialized in that system, and so we believe that there is something that some people have the talent. Some people are smart. Some people are great at math, for example. And we believe that if you are not a math person, if you don't have some secret part in your brain that opens up to numbers, you can't do it at all. Now, what if you believed instead that math is something you learn through effort over time? Effort over time. There's no such thing as a transformation. There's only accumulation. You fail, you get better, you accumulate. You fail, you get better, you accumulate. And math is the same. Now, I have a client. She's so amazing, and her business is very successful. But she has no idea how much money she makes in her business. None. Why has she no idea how much money she makes in her business? Because when she sits down to fill out the insurance claims, or when she sits down to invoice her clients, or when she sits down to do anything where a number is involved, she shuts down. And I've asked her, what is going on? What is the problem? I'm just not a math person. Some people are and I'm not. I can't do this. Now, I know categorically that that's not true. The brain science categorically disproves it. We know that if you are willing to engage with something, you will improve with it through effort over time. And in your business, we're not really asking you to do matrix algebra, right? It's basically addition, subtraction, maybe a little compound interest. It's not that hard. It's not actually the task that has you stuck. It's your beliefs about yourself that have you stuck. You think some people are math people, and you are not. And it is not true. Now, what I need you to do, this is something that is, first of all, created culturally. We have these commitments as a culture. We want to celebrate the Steve Jobs of the world. We believe that Steve Jobs just rose without any problem to total dominance. We think the same thing about Michael Jordan and Oprah Winfrey, but the truth about them and you is the same. They struggled, they failed, they improved, they succeeded, right? And that can be your story with math as well, or anything that you're struggling with. I'm a very introverted person. It's difficult for me to be in a room like this, but over time I've gotten quite good at it because I failed, I improved, I succeeded. So in order to get started on this, what you have to do is take the smallest possible step. And I mean, you're first gonna say I'm struggling to get my social media up and running. What's the smallest possible step? I know. I'll post 12 times every day for 5 days. Because that's what they say you should do. No, you will not. You will post 2 times this week and you will see how it goes. And then you will get the wine and the candles and you will get the bathtub and you will celebrate like it's 1999. That is what you will do. Because over time, as you do a little bit and you celebrate, you release that piece of your fixed mindset. Oh, I can do it. The world did not end. And then over time, you take the next tiniest step. And here's what I hear somebody in here. Somebody in here is thinking, if I'm only doing that small thing, I'm never going to fix this. False. It is the fastest way to fix it because your tiny step will become bigger over time. If I were to set out and do some more exercise, what I think I'd probably set for myself as a goal is a marathon. And I couldn't run a single minute because the tiny step for me got bigger and it will for you too. So don't force yourself. Don't try to brute force yourself into big action. Take small action, celebrate, and learn. Okay? So take a second, write down what's the tiny thing you can do in your little worksheet. Just write it down. What is it? And then make it smaller. And maybe make it smaller again. And then plan your celebration. Okay? Okay?
Okay.
Okay! Good. That is the first reason that you are locked in a cycle of defensive failure. Because you think deep in your heart, oh, let me tell you a little psychological fact about defensive failure. Here's what happens. Your brain is an efficiency machine, right? Your brain loves repetition. And it likes to do what it already knows hasn't killed you. Right? Okay, so what you have in your head is this sort of what will happen is you'll set an intention. You don't believe you can do it, right? You hold this belief that you can't do it. That's the mindset block, is the belief, I can't do it. Your brain will not allow you to spend any of its most limited resource, which is willpower and effort, on anything that you don't believe won't succeed. So what happens is you set an intention, the time comes to do it, and your brain just walks around it. Nope, not doing that. How about we watch some Netflix? So it's very mysterious, right? It feels like it's happening outside of you, but it's happening inside of you, and it all comes down to your beliefs. So I want you to do the smallest possible thing and celebrate. That's the first reason that you're locked in a cycle of defensive failure. Somewhere in your heart you believe something is required and you don't have it. The second reason that you are locked in a cycle of defensive failure is that you believe that people like you don't do things like this. Now, people like you have some belief about yourself. You have a lot of beliefs about yourself. And some of them come down to what we would refer to as an identity, right? I am heart-centered and non-competitive, and I love the Muppets. That's my identity in 3 categories or less, right? Now, let's talk a little bit about how an identity forms, okay? So you have an identity prior to adolescence, but you absorbed it from the people around you like a sponge. Mom says I'm creative. Oh yeah, totally, I'm totally creative. Dad says I'm competitive. Great, I must be competitive. My sister loves football, I do too. You just absorb it, right, like a sponge. But in adolescence, you actually flip the lid outwards. You flip the mirror out. It used to be focused in on yourself and your family. It flips out now, and it looks like the peers around you, okay? And you begin to ask really hard questions like, who am I? And you do it, this is important, socially. We're social beings. We want to be accepted. We are constantly trying to figure out who am I in crowd with and who's over there, right? So, am I like you? 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 And I take on a piece of your identity and I try it on for myself. Maybe you try on skipping school and hanging out behind the football place after school. It's like, I can't remember what football is played in. Right? Maybe you try that on. Or maybe you try on some like really thick black eyeliner and blasting emo music on repeat in your room. You try on pieces of the people around you. And it makes you feel like a crazy person. This is the reason that adolescence is so hard. You are in constant conflict with yourself. You're being different with your parents than you are at church, different with this friend than that friend. You're like, I don't know who I am. The really, really good news is that around your junior or senior year in high school, you begin to release the pieces of your identity that no longer serve you. I don't actually like football. I'm not going to play football anymore. I don't want to hang out with those people who are skipping school. And you release it. And every piece of your identity that you release, once it's been fractured, is a loss. If you let go of those friends who hang out and skip school, you feel like a traitor, letting those people go. When you let go of the football team, perhaps you lose credibility with the people at your school, right? So your identity, the good news is that ultimately you emerge with an identity, right? A core belief about who you are. And there's 2 things to know about it. 1, you care about it a lot. And you will do nothing that threatens your identity, in part because you lost so much to create it. You've created your identity through loss. Okay? Now, you're like, this is interesting, but what does it have to do with following through on my goals? Well, here's what it has to do with following through on your goals. I have a client, and she, again, a great coach. She's both a coach and a therapist, actually. She has a social work degree, and she does coaching. And she was telling me this story. She was on the commuter rail, which you guys have around these parts, right? They're long train rides. They usually takes about an hour to get into the city. So she was sitting next to this woman, and she told the woman, oh, I'm a coach, I'm a relationship coach, and I help people, have good relationships. And the woman was like, oh my God, yeah, I need to talk to you. My husband, and this and that, and my cousin, but so many, just all the details. And she called me, she was like, it was amazing, it was such a good conversation, I felt so valuable. So I said, Did you say, would you like to talk to me about this? We could have a call. You could come and see me. No. No? What? You can't, what? She gave you every reason to invite her into your practice, to offer to help her. Why didn't you do it? And she said, I don't want to be pushy. She is a coach and a therapist, a very heart-centered kind of person. Is a heart-centered kind of person ever going to do anything that feels pushy? No. So, but she has to sell her services. She must, or she will, her business will fail. She won't be able to continue to do it. So what are we going to do? Well, here's what we have to do. We have a Venn diagram. On this side is everything we believe about ourselves, and on this side is everything we believe about what we're trying to do. And if there's very little overlap, you're in a ton of conflict. You won't do it. And so we have to grow your understanding of who you are. We have to help you see that, yes, you can be a business person. Yes, you can do what's necessary. You can actually open your mouth and talk to some people about what it is you do. But we must also grow our understanding of what we're trying to do. There are people like you doing this. And one of the fastest, we have to smush the circles is what I call it. Get more overlap in what you believe about yourself and what you believe about the people who do this. Right now you see them as out group, you need to get in group, right? So the fastest way to do this is to find someone like you doing things like this. So very often for my clients, I am their heart-centered person effectively selling their services. And you can find that person too. The non-competitive person who exercises, the person who never really wrote, who writes great social media copy. You can find the person like you who is doing things like this, and then you have to talk to them about it. So I want you on your little slip of paper, not slip of paper, the handout, I want you to bring to mind who is the person like you doing the thing like this. And I want you to identify when you're going to ask them to have this conversation. Because that is how you're going to smush your circles. You think that this person's just like you and they're doing it. Let's find out how. Now, I actually have a protocol that I would love to send to each and every one of you, but I need you to give me a business card or an email address on a slip of paper. It has a video that explains it. It comes right out of my mindset course. I want to send it to you because the protocol will walk you through how to do it. It's not hard, but sometimes it helps to know what to say. So write down the name of the person that you're going to talk to, who's going to help you realize that people like you do things like this, and the circles will smush. And then you will have released yourself from this reason that you're stuck in a cycle of defensive failure. You with me? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Good. Okay, so we have, I don't think I can do it. Take some kind of fundamental thing I don't got. We have people like me don't do things like this. And now let's talk about this space over here, which is, I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. I think I should want to do it, right? I know you have something in your life where you're like, I don't want to do that. Everyone tells me I should do it, but I don't want to do that. Basically, you value it for the wrong reasons. There are two ways to value things. On the one hand, you can value things for reasons that are inside of you. I'm interested. I'm curious. I really see how this is going to get me where I want to go. Intrinsic reasons. But you can also value things for reasons outside of you. Extrinsic reasons, like all the cool people are doing it, or my mom would be proud, or I would like to be admired. If you are trying to do something that's hard, it's intrinsic reasons that will keep you doing it. And I have a client, her name is Deborah, and she hates technology, hates it. You want to hear somebody talk about how much they hate technology? Ask Deborah, how do you feel about technology? I hate it. I just hate it. And she had, not surprisingly, a terrible, broken down website. It was let alone, forget about converting, right? A converting website. This was just a terrible website. It wasn't mobile optimized. It was a whole thing. And every time she would sit down to do it, she was consumed by thoughts of how much she hated technology. I don't want to do it. Now, she had to do it. There are some things that you don't actually have to do, right? Here we are at a crossroads. You don't want to do it. You can choose not to do it. If you hate social media, you can talk to Dream It Up social media back there. They can do it for you, right? Anybody who tells you that you have to work 16 or 18-hour days, you can just off-ramp right now. You should say no to as much as you can, right? That will free you to do the hard stuff. Say no to everything that you can. But there are some things that you really do have to do, and you don't want to. So how can we get you to engage with those things? Well, first and foremost, let's figure out if we can find some intrinsic interest. Now for Deborah, that meant we spent probably 3 weeks looking at colors. What are your brand colors? What pictures do you like? Which fonts really speak to you? And suddenly she was invested, right? It's like, oh, these colors are beautiful. These make me feel light and airy. I love it. It's still working on her website, but it was the part that she could enjoy. And then we started slowly building up some understanding of how it could really serve her business, that connection between what it is you're doing and your long-term hopes and dreams. Now, Deborah's never going to build her own website. We found some people to help her. You can always do that with things that you don't like. But you must release yourself from your brain redirecting you by finding some way to be invested in it. And if you can't, that's when you really must draw the bright line between the thing you want to do and your long-term hopes and dreams. If you can find nothing that interests you, perhaps like paying taxes, right? Not a whole lot of interesting stuff. There's a lot of paperwork, right? You must draw the line. How is paying my taxes going to get me my $1 million business or my 6-figure business or whatever it is you're going for? How exactly does this connect to here? And you have to write it down on a piece of paper. You have to put it in your pocket or on your phone. And the minute you sit down to fill out those 1099s, you got to take it out and read it so that you ground back down into your intrinsic interest. Because when things are hard, extrinsic interest will leave you like a thief in the night. It just doesn't hang around. It's not enough to want to be admired. It's not enough for your mom to be proud. It has to be something that you want from inside of yourself. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about whatever it is you're struggling with and just make a reason, all the reasons why you value it. And then categorize them and see if you're in balance. Because actually, everybody wants everything for both reasons. I mean, nobody's entirely intrinsically motivated. We all want status. We all want admiration. We just have to have more intrinsic interest if we're going to be able to pull through the failure. If you discover that you are out of balance, I need you to go seek out some intrinsic interest. Read the magazines, check out the blogs, talk to people who love it. There is somebody who loves taxes. There's always somebody in the room who loves taxes. I'm a tax accountant, I love it, right? Go talk to that person, geek out with them. Figure out what there is to love about it. And if you can't, then write the affirmation that connects it from your thing you have to do to your long-term hopes and dreams. So what's on your paper there is an opportunity for you to say, here's when I'm going to do it. It's not much you can do right now because it would totally take you out of the rest of the day thinking about it. Write down when you're going to do it. Set an intention. Because I really do want you to do these things. I really do want you to take a tiny step and then celebrate the crap out of it. I want you to find somebody like you doing things like this and interview them. And I want you to make a list of the reasons why you're valuing it to discover whether we've got a value problem. Because if you can do those, what you'll discover is that your brain no longer controls, well, your brain still controls you, but these mindset blocks no longer control you. You can interrupt the pattern where you set an intention and don't do it. You will set an intention, you'll know why it's hard, you'll engage with it, and then you'll celebrate. And if you can do it, I promise you, if you can acknowledge why you're struggling and then start to take steps, nothing can stop you from succeeding. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? anybody have any thoughts or questions that they would like to just discuss? You can start with a thought. Yes.
I think that you are very smart in breaking it down in that fashion to, believe in yourself and then promote yourself and then move in a forward positive direction. It was
Thank
very
you. Yes, and you're gonna do that, right?
absolutely
Okay, good.
every day.
Every day, every day. Small victories, yes. Yeah,
This master class you have, what time is that? It says
it's
March
at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock on Thursday, next Thursday. It's about what it really takes, it's on the back of the thing, what it really takes to build a practice. So if you
Mhm.
have a practice or need to get clients, just come and learn. I'll be happy to see you there. Any other thoughts or questions?
This whole room, we have no questions, ladies?
Now, that's